What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk, we got some beer to drink. We're sipping on some Mickey's tonight, some Michelob Ultra. Today's topic of discussion, what we're going over today, is PFL 5, the lightweights and the light heavyweights. This card's going to decide who gets into the playoffs, what the seeding is, what the matchups are, and everything. We're going to break that down and go over what possibly could happen, what we think is going to happen. We'll have to wait and see until Friday what actually does happen, but I'm going to break it down for you, let you know what you're going to be walking into if you're turning it on for the first time this PFL season. Alright, so these are the two most exciting weight classes they got going on over in PFL right now with the lightweights and the light heavyweights. We'll kick things off with the lighter division, the lightweights. I explained in my last PFL video, but the rule set, it's 3 point. They do a scoring system during the regular season, so you get 3 points for a win. You get an extra 3 points for a first round knockout or submission, 2 points for a second, 1 point for the third. And then they don't allow elbows in these fights to avoid cuts and things like that because they have such a quick turnaround. Alright, got that out of the way. So now you know the scoring system, you know what the rules are and everything over in PFL. The current standings for the lightweight division. We have Michael Dufort in first with 5, Clay Collard second with 5, Brent Primus third with 5, and Elvin Espinoza with 4. So we got Michael Dufort. He's taking on Adam Piccolotti in his second round matchup. Dufort's coming off a great win over Mads Burnell, a second round rear naked choke. Piccolotti's coming off a flying knee knockout. He didn't get the knockout. He got knocked out by Elvin Espinoza. So I think that this really bodes well for the Canadian badass Michael Dufort. He goes in against a compromised opponent that was just knocked out a few months ago. He can get a knockout. He's got better wrestling than this guy. I'll say this a few times through the show probably, but I think that the PFL has this idea of guys they definitely want to have move on, and guys they are like, we could care less if you do or you don't. We're not going to be offended if you do. But I think there's a few guys on here that they definitely wanted to see move to the playoffs, no doubt. And one of them, it looks like, is Michael Dufort. Just not a tough matchup here with Piccolotti. So I'm thinking he's going to be getting that done. And if he gets a finish in the second round or sooner, then he's guaranteed a playoff spot no matter what. The only way that he wouldn't get a playoff spot off of a victory would be if Gadzi Rabadanov is able to finish Elvin Espinoza in round 1. That fight gets to the end of the first round, and any of the 3 guys that are in the lead there, any of them get a victory, they're guaranteed to move on if that fight does not get out, or if that fight does get out of the first round with Elvin Espinoza and Gadzi Rabadanov. And I like Elvin Espinoza in that, he's a undefeated, good young guy. He's got a lot of skill. He's good on the ground, decent striking. So I'm thinking we're going to see Espinoza stay undefeated after that one. And then we got Brent Primus. He's taking on Solomon Renfro, guy that's relatively unknown, but he has been in the PFL playoffs before. He's got heavy hands, has quite a few knockouts to his name. He's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. And he could give Primus problem with a knockout. I don't think there's any other path to victory for him because Primus is way better on the ground. I think as far as just technical striking, Primus is better, but that X factor, some dudes have it, and Renfro does. I could see him getting a knockout, but I definitely, if I'm betting the fight, I'm picking Primus just to be safe. And then the final matchup we care about in the lightweight division that has any playoff implications whatsoever, we got Clay Collard, PFL fan favorite. He's taking on, let me get this name here. Oh, shit. Oh, he's taking on Mads Burnell, coming off a second round loss to Michael Dufort. Now, this will actually be a really interesting matchup. They didn't give Clay Collard any easy matchups here. And Burnell, great ground game. He's got 8 submissions, only 1 knockout. So he's got a really strong ground game, really good wrestling as well, good top control. Whereas Collard's the exact opposite. He's not a big ground guy, but his striking, phenomenal. He loves to go out there and box you, dirty boxing. He competed in boxing for a while there. He was kind of a pandemic hero in combat sports between competing in MMA and boxing back to back to back to back. Guy's just a beast. So it's going to be just who can implement their game plan in this one. Can Clay Collard avoid the takedowns? Can he stuff Mads Burnell's takedown attempts? Or is it going to be Mads Burnell getting on top and just riding it out, looking for submissions the whole time? It'll be fun. I can't wait because, like I said, a lot on the line here. If Burnell gets a first-round finish of Collard, he's probably going to be in the playoffs. If any of the guys without any points, even Patricky Fieri, if he gets a finish over his dude, whoever the hell he's fighting, he gets a finish in the first round, he could move to the playoffs, even with a loss by a second-round knockout to Clay Collard in the first part of the season. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. That's this Friday, but I can't wait for that. But the real marquee matchup, the marquee division, is the light heavyweight division, and they have a great matchup on here. It's going to be interesting. Real quick, the current standings we have for the light heavyweight division. We have number 1, Rob Wilkinson, 6 points. Number 2, Josh Silveira, 6 points. Let me get this guy's name right here because it's a tough one. Dovitson Yagshimuradov, 6 points. Impa Kasanganay, 6 points. Antonio Carlos Jr., 6 points. So all 5 winners from the first part of the season got a first-round finish. The order of those, since they all have the same points, the reason we still have a 1st through 5th is because they go off time of finish. So Wilkinson got the fastest. Antonio Carlos Jr., he had 6 points. He got the slowest finish in the first round. It's been amazing. Just super entertaining fights. These guys have been putting it all out there. And the number 1 and number 2 guys are going to be fighting in the regular season. We got Rob Wilkinson taking on Josh Silveira, and 1v2. These guys have a great matchup for each other. It's going to be a train wreck, this fight. These guys both like to swing heavy-handed. They like to throw from their hips a lot of times. They throw big shots. They got good chins. But with the way they fight, I see that no way this goes the distance, and it's probably going to be fight of the night. It's going to be a banger. These guys don't care. They don't mind getting bloody. They don't mind getting hit. They love hitting people. They love the stand-up. You don't see a lot of takedowns from them anymore. So that fight I can't wait for. Look for fight of the night. And then we have Antonio Carlos Jr. He's taking on Alex Polizzi in a fight that he should be able to finish relatively quick. Polizzi's no scrub, but Carlos Jr. has good enough takedowns to get him down, and his ground game is just great. He's a jiu-jitsu beast. He was a former heavyweight champion in PFL. He's won it before. Rob Wilkinson, he's won the PFL before as well at light heavyweight. Josh Silva, runner-up. And then our next guy we have, Impa Kasanganay. He's taking on Jacob Nadeau. He's last year's champion at 205. He's currently in 4th place. And like I said before, the PFL, you can tell, has guys they definitely want to move into the playoffs. You got Dakota Tacheva. So Michael Dufort, just giving them easier matchups than you think they should get. People that are in the season almost as just bodies to beat up. And I think they're doing that with Kasanganay. This Jacob Nadeau that he's fighting, he's 4-2, so not a lot of experience against a guy that's been in the UFC. Fought over in Russia for Eagle FC, and now he's won the PFL, and he's dominating so far. He almost beat the Bellator champion, Johnny Eblen. So 6 fights versus Impa Kasanganay, I just don't see it happening. So I'm thinking Kasanganay wins that, and he might get a first-round finish and move into that first-place spot for the light heavyweight division. But the seeding, I don't think it's going to matter much. These guys are all so tough. And then finally we have Dovletsan Yagshimuradov. He's going to be facing Simone Biong. I don't know much about either fighter. I know Yagshimuradov, he got a first-round finish in his first fight in the PFL. Other than that, Simone Biong, I don't know anything about him. But the card's going to be amazing. It's this Friday on ESPN. Prelims start at 5. And then the main card's at 8. ESPN Plus, not regular ESPN. But I can't wait. PFL is getting really interesting to me this year. I wish they'd integrate more of the Bellator stars, but I'll have a video talking about what they're doing with Bellator. I think it's really mishandled, but we'll get into that later. Thank you for tuning in. That's what we have for you today. And make sure to tune into the fights on Friday night.